What's up, Black Knight Nation? I'm your host, John Sheps. I'm here with another episode of The Armory. This is episode number 13. We are coming fresh off a bye, and we are ready to face the Boston College Eagles at home. Let's do this Saturday, October 7th, 12 p.m., right at noon. We're coming in at 2-2. So Army football, the Black Knights coming in 2-2. Solid first start of the season. And Boston College is coming in 2-3, but they're coming off a victory. All right, so before we get into this breakdown, I want to let everybody know, be appreciated, comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm going to continue to cover Army football all throughout the season and the off season, as I have been doing this year and from the previous off season. You can find me on the Twitter if you're on there, or X, whatever it's called now, at Coach Sheps. You can find the show at Toilets to Titles, and if you're into fantasy football, we cover all of that as well. We also have a website, toiletstotitles.com. We just released our first 2024 NFL draft mock draft of the season. So if you're into that sort of thing, you can go to the website and check that out. So I want to kind of just briefly, I know last week I did some bye week discussion, some pre-bye week team leaders. And for some of you who didn't see that episode, I just want to briefly touch on that. So going into the bye week, the first 4 months, or rather the first 4 weeks of the season, here's what we looked like, okay? Army football ranked 71st out of 133 D1 teams, okay? They had a PFF grade of 70.8. Last year, okay, in 2022, they were 40th in the nation at the end of the season. So I expect the Army offense to rise, even though it is a different scheme. I expect them to creep into the top 50. Through 4 games, they had 123 total points, the Black Knights, and the defense has ranked 48th out of 133 D1 teams with an overall PFF grade of 81.5. So the defense has been great. They have been the shining light for the Army Black Knights so far this season. Offensive standouts. Bryson Daly leads the team in rushing, 69 carries, 305 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, and 220 of those rushing yards came after contact, which is pretty impressive, especially for a quarterback. But he's not your average quarterback. This dude's tough as nails. Jacoby Buchanan, 27 carries, 11 of those have been for first downs. Isaiah Alston leads the team in receiving yards with 266, and Noah Short, who's on the rise, leads the team in receptions, 10 receptions on 20 targets. All right, defensive standouts. Our top 3 graded players on PFF, Cameron Jones, Jabari Moore, Bo Nicholas Paul. I expect it to be a big week for these fellas. All cornerbacks. So our corners, our secondaries, lighten it up. Jimmy Carlo, Leo Lowen, Quindrelin Hammonds have been our Iron Man on defense. They're the only 3 players on the defensive side, or rather on the team, with 200-plus snaps. And Leo Lowen leads the team in tackles with 23. All right, so I want to get right into Boston College. It's a big week for us. I said prior to the bye, or rather during the bye, we get a win out of the bye, especially against a team like Boston College, which I think we can after the way we played Syracuse. That would be huge because we got some other big games coming up. But to start week 6 for us, 3-2 would be phenomenal. All right, so Boston College is coming into this game 2-3. They're coming off a win versus Virginia. They won 27-24. They are averaging 20 points a game. They're letting up 33 points a game, okay? They're letting up 163 yards per game on the ground and 395 total yards per game. Boston College is averaging 170 yards on the ground per game, 230 yards through the air. They played Florida State, which in my opinion is a top 4 team in the country. I think they are going to make it to the college football playoff this year. And Boston College went the distance, okay? And not only did they go the distance, their corners locked up Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman's going to be a top 25 pick in the 2024 NFL draft, and they locked him up. So this defense rose to the occasion. This team rose to the occasion. They didn't get the dub, but they showed a lot of grit. And for a complete game, okay? Boston College's run defense has a grade of 75.5, which is 71st out of 133 D1 teams. They have a 61.1 PFF passing grade, which is 100th out of 133. And Ryan O'Keefe has the second most receiving yards in the team. He left the UFE. Ryan O'Keefe left the Virginia game with a neck injury. And, prayers to him. And but he's going to be out. So passing hasn't been elite. Rushing defense hasn't been elite, and they're going to be missing one of their key players heading into this matchup. So let's touch on some of the key players that Boston College will have in this matchup. Number 1, Thomas Castellanos, 5'10", 196 pounds. He's a true sophomore, transferred from the University of Central Florida. He has 358 rushing yards in the year, 1,092 passing yards, and he has a great ratio touchdown interception, 10 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He is a dynamic athlete, more so than Garrett Schrader. And we held Garrett Schrader in check from Syracuse in the first half, but in the second half, we allowed chunk plays. We allowed him to turn it on. We allowed him to breathe, and that ultimately cost us the ball game. Again, even though Boston College lost to FSU, who's 4-0, Castellanos had 400 yards from scrimmage, 305 passing, 95 yards rushing. Castellanos, dynamic, young, upside, electrifying. We got to contain Thomas Castellanos in this matchup. Offensive guard Christian Mahogany, 6'3", 333 pounds. He missed the entire 2022 season due to injury. He was 2022 preseason All-ACC. He's on the Senior Bowl watch list. And most NFL draft outlets, where they're ranking players right now for the upcoming 2024 NFL draft, has him as a top 10 offensive lineman in this class. So Mahogany can play. He's probably one of the better players we've seen up to this point. Might be the best player we've seen up to this point. Lewis Bond, wide receiver, 5'11", 188 pounds. And it just seems like this year we had like 6'2 plus wide receiver after 6'2 plus wide receiver. Jump ball guys, can stretch the field, get the big plays. And most of our corners are 5'11", 5'10". And they were scrappy enough to keep these big play wide receivers in check for the most part. Okay. Lewis Bond, 5'11", 188. He's a different breed than some of the wide receivers we've seen. 23 catches, 350 yards, 6 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns over the last 3 games. He had his first 100-yard outing of the season Saturday against Virginia, and he's a former running back. So he's a space player. You're going to see him short, dump offs, get him in space. So we're going to need to be disciplined. Our corners are going to have to contain, flush them to the inside. Our corners are going to have to keep up a phenomenal missed tackle rate. Our corners essentially do not miss tackles, and that's going to be huge for containing Lewis Bond. Hit, wrap, stick, and if he's moving around, funnel him inside to our linebackers and to our safeties so we can keep him contained. They have a two-headed, so they, as in Boston College, has a two-headed monster in the backfield. Kyle Robichaux, 6 foot, 216 pounds. He's got 51 carries, 210 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 4. He's been seen in a boot. So after the game against Virginia on September 30th, he was seen in the boot after the game. So I'm not sure what is up if he's going to play this week. So we should keep an eye on that. He transferred from Western Kentucky this past offseason, and he averaged 6.8 yards per carry on 73 carries in 2022. All right. Their other running back, Boston College, is Patrick Garwo. He's a fifth-year senior, 5'8", 214 pounds, 38 carries, 159 yards, and a touchdown. We might be seeing more of Garwo or who they have behind him if Robichaux can, in fact, not play due to whatever is going on with his foot or his ankle. All right, Boston College is an edge defender, Shida Silla. Okay, 6'4", 253 pounds. He's another fifth-year senior. Fifth-year seniors, or rather seniors in general, is a theme with this defense. So I'm going to be breaking down some of these defensive players. There's a lot of experience on the defensive side of the football. 2 sacks for Silla, 3 tackles for loss. He can wreck a game. He hasn't yet wrecked a game, but this is the type of player who can wreck a game, who can get in the backfield, who can be disruptive, who can force your quarterback to make errors and make mistakes. And in a game like this, we cannot simply afford to make mistakes. So we need to keep Silla contained. Vinny DePalma, linebacker, 5'11", 227 pounds. He is a 6th-year senior, which due to COVID, there's a lot of 6th-year seniors out there. Okay, there were eligibility granted for an extra season for a lot of these young athletes. He has 40 tackles, which leads the team through 5 games. So Vinny DePalma, he's going to be disruptive in the run game. Our guards, our centers, when they get to the next level, are going to have their hands full blocking DePalma and keeping him from wrecking our game and getting to our ball carriers. All right, Elijah Jones, corner, 6'2", 176 pounds, another 6th-year senior, experience. He's only allowing 36% completion percentage when targeted. He's allowed 9 receptions, 25 targets. Elijah Jones is the real deal. Alston, short. It's going to be tough getting open on Elijah Jones. He might be the best corner we have faced so far this season, and he has the only interception for Boston College through this point. So that's something that stand out to me. Boston College didn't have a lot of sacks, didn't have a lot of forced turnovers. So Army, we don't really turn the ball over a lot in the Syracuse game. It was unlike us in the second half, but as long as we are not chasing and we play smart, we should be able to protect our quarterback and hold on to the football. So that leads me to the keys to the game, which I've kind of already touched on. Well, the first one is going to be time of possession. I think time of possession is always going to be one of Army's bread and butter. The way we run the football, those fourth down conversions that the Black Knights have been phenomenal at, running the football, controlling the clock, just chipping away and keeping the opposing offense off the field, giving the opposing offense limited opportunities to burn us with big plays, giving the opposing quarterback limited opportunities to get into a rhythm, giving the opposing running back limited opportunities to get into a rhythm. So it's going to be a theme this season. It's going to continue. Time of possession is huge for Army football. If we win the time of possession significantly, we should have a good shot of winning this ball game. That's one of the keys to the game. Don't chase. Don't chase is another key to the game. We cannot afford to get behind early. We cannot afford to abandon our game plan like we did in the second half against Syracuse. Passing the football often isn't our MO, and it's not what is going to win us ball games, though I do like our wide receivers, and though I do like the way Bryson Daly has improved as a passer. We need to either keep it close or play ahead and play keep away, which is ideal, but that's not always going to be the case. The second we get down 2 scores, it's trouble, because now if we change our style of play, it might better suit what Boston College is doing. They have an elite pass rusher. They have an elite corner. They have the ability to wreak havoc in the backfield and to cover our wide receivers on the outside. If we're chasing, that's also eating into our time of possession. It's more likely we go 3 and out if we're throwing the football. So key to the game, don't chase, keep it close, or play from ahead. Okay, final key to the game for this one. Prevent the big play. Any play, 15 plus, 20 plus yards. This season, we've kept ourselves in ball games. We have kept quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, for the most part, contained. What has killed us and affected us the most is the broken play, or the 40-yard run down the middle in the fourth quarter, or the 25-yard jump ball in the third quarter at the end of the half. These big plays have been a real thorn in the side for the Army Black Knights this season. If we can contain the quarterback, prevent chunk plays, prevent wide receivers from going 40, 50 yards. And I mean, all of this seems basic. It's not rocket science. Every team should want to prevent chunk plays. But the reason I'm bringing this up for Army is because we've done a very good job of staying in ball games and keeping offenses, their production at a minimum, and what has swayed the minimum to looking more of an average or good day for some of the players we've played against is these chunk plays. Okay. And the chunk plays don't tell the story of the game. The story of the game shows they're struggling 3 and out, change of possession. But then you throw in those chunk plays and the yardage totals go up. So if we can prevent these chunk plays and show truly how strong our defense is, we have a good shot controlling time of possession, because we're getting the ball back, and not chasing. So the two prior keys to the game are affected by these chunk plays. Prevent chunk plays, we won't be chasing, and we'll be able to dominate time of possession. So that does it for my Boston College preview. Again, Army is going into this one 2-2. It'd be huge to win another home game, go 3-2 into our next opponent, and to beat a team like Boston College, who I think we can play with. I think we have a very good shot at winning this ball game, but it's not going to be one we're going to win in the first quarter. This would be a game we are going to win by fighting, biting, scratching, playing a full 60 minutes of football. That's how you win this ball game. If you enjoyed this show, it'd be greatly appreciated if you subscribe to the Toilets to Titles Podcast Network. If you like the show, throw it a comment. And again, if you're into the 2024 NFL Draft or NFL Draft content in general, we have player profiles on our website, toiletstotitles.com. And we also just released our first NFL Draft mock draft for the first round of the 2024 NFL Draft cycle. So greatly appreciate you. Go Army. Let's beat Boston College. I'll see y'all next week. Take care.